305. Again, here we're about to do another live. Again, thank you guys for joining. If Today we are going to, as the title says, we are going to watch President Trump go in, and he had a visit to Saudi Arabia today, and he's going to speak to the Saudis. And anytime a president that we have goes on an international stage like this, first and foremost, guys, we want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We want to thank him for giving us life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness here in the United States. And we wish that upon everyone else in the world. I pray that everyone has success in their life, they stay safe, and may the Holy Spirit guide and protect them. All right, with that said, guys, let's go. So today, President Trump, he went to Saudi Arabia, and he went to speak to the Saudis. And we know that President Trump is always bolstering good connection with the rest of the world, despite what people might think that the president is cantankerous or he's this and he's that. We can clearly see so far the first maybe 120, 30 days that he's one to always bolster peace. He's always looking for peace. And he's always made it his point of duty not to start any war. He's made that clear. And even coming in to the world experiencing, the Ukrainian Russian war, the Israeli-Palestinian war. He said it from day one, a year, even longer into his. Hey, what's up? What's up, brother? How you doing? KRMS. How do you pronounce that? I'm Jamaican, man. I don't know if you can hear the accent. I'll just tame it back a little bit. Yeah, so he's always seemed like he always wants to promote peace within the world. And I think this trip to Saudi Arabia is to here it's about 5:30, almost 6 o'clock, something like that. Let me see. Yes, 6 o'clock, five minutes to six. Shout out, I don't know how you said Molister. Shout out to everyone joining right now. Appreciate everyone. Thank you guys. Corduroy Library Fawcett. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live, everyone. Appreciate you guys. You guys know that I do these lives. I'm not the best looking channel, but I like to come with common sense. I do believe in common sense politics, which is what our president pretty much does all the time. Shout out to all the person who I can't pronounce that language. Shout out. Welcome to the live. And so like I said, guys, I think this, I have not watched this yet. This is my first time seeing this. I was at school all day. So now I'm actually coming in to get my daily dose of the news, what goes on. You guys know I'm always watching these things, and I'm always bringing it up. Welcome, Acero. Welcome, Raul. Welcome to the live. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Acero, welcome. So yes, so President Trump is in Saudi Arabia right now, and based on the fact that he's going around the world constantly speaking to these major companies, obviously we know that he wants to garner funds for the United States. We know that's always his plan. He's a businessman first. I mean, now he's the president first, but we know he has a businessman mindset. And a lot of people will say that Bustin, welcome, Bustin. A lot of people would say that he's not really a politician, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's getting rid of so many of these politicians, because they've been in politics for so long, they've been so crappy at it for so long. And as a business person, when you have a business that it's Karen Ritter, welcome. What up? Welcome, guys. When you have a businessman that comes in and you look at the country as a business, and you have to have some heart to look at the country. You can't just always look at the country as a business, because when he had all these hotels and all these businesses, I think it prepared him well to become a president because you have so many personalities to deal with, so many people with different personalities to deal with. You have to be kind of good at that. You know what I mean? And I think being a businessman and a good businessman at that has put him in the right position to become the president. Because you guys know that these politicians, a lot of politicians, they're career politicians. I'm talking 30, 40 years in politics. They don't give anybody the opportunity, any young minds to come in with fresh ideas to change stuff up. Yes, I know President Trump is older, but what he's come with in, gotta do the back scratcher, man. Thing longer, you know. Michael St. John, welcome to the live, guys. So you know that when you have so many politicians, and I'm from Jamaica, and it's the same thing. We have politicians that are still in parliament in Jamaica since I was a child, and now I'm in my 40s, and they're still in politics. What good can these politicians do? You know what I mean? And I feel like President Trump coming in, not being in politics that long, is a breath of fresh air, even though he's an older person, because he comes with a different mindset, a refreshed mindset, a mindset where you're not just sitting in the old ways. You know what I mean? Foodie Heaven, welcome. 10 Light Star, welcome, guys. Shout out to everyone who come who's in the live. I appreciate it. Harley, welcome, welcome. Appreciate every single one of you guys in the live. You know, so I definitely appreciate a breath of fresh air. Welcome to the live, even though I don't understand what you just wrote to that person right there with that long Saudi Arabian message. Anybody can translate, let me know. Welcome R666. Don't like them 666 right there. Kutang, Pan, welcome. Welcome. Appreciate every one of you. Thank you for joining the live. So when you have a president that's coming in with a breath of fresh air, good evening, guys. Good evening. And they want to make politics different. They want to make the world a better place. And you see the kind of resistance that they're going on, like that given by the Democratic Party. You have to say, what kind of shitty Democratic Party we have? Because if you have a man that comes in, welcome. If you're watching from Yemen, big up, big up. Thank you very much for joining the live. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you have somebody that's coming in to bolster peace between the United States, between Saudi Arabia, its enemies, strengthening ties between America and its allies, Saudi Arabia and their allies. And keep in mind, guys, you're not going to be able to please everyone. And it's just what it is. You really won't be able. 10 Light Star, welcome. You're not going to be able to please everyone. You can't. Think about your own life where you're trying to please everybody. Somebody's always going to be pissed off at you. You're going to please 10 people and piss off 10 people. And I feel like that's where Trump is. He's trying to do the right thing. A lot of people, just because he made a lot of promises saying, oh, the price of eggs are still high, you know, and this and this and that. Yeah, those things take time. If you go to law school, you don't go to school for 6 months and then you become a lawyer. You don't go to medical school for 3 months, 1 year, and you become a doctor. You don't do anything for a short period of time and see results. So President Trump is setting the foundation between the United States, Saudi Arabia, the United States. He just, I don't know if you guys just saw where he bolstered some peace between Pakistan and India, because that could have been nasty, because we know that they have nuclear armament. And if that was allowed to go on and on, we don't know where that could have gone. And the fact that he went in and he spoke to both sides and they've come to a peace agreement to ceasefire and just end the conflict. Pakistan and India, they're not the same people, but they're very similar. You know what I mean? You see a Pakistani and an Indian, if they don't speak, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Official Jesus Christ, welcome. Miss my ditty. Okay. Yeah, so I'm all for someone who, that's what it is. Paki India is religious difference, or that's what it is. I did not know that. Oh, Muslim and Hindu rule. Okay, got it. I see what you're saying. So the difference is between is religion then. Because the reason why I stopped is that somebody in the chat is saying the difference between a Pakistani Indian is based on religion. And it's like, seems like most war is based on that. You think about Israel and Palestine, You know, it's they probably have differences based on religion. Also, many countries their borders are divided based on religious beliefs, and whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. Ben Allen, welcome, guys, welcome. So again, guys, today we're gonna listen to our President Trump speak to the Saudi Arabians and people around the world. Um, Again, the reason why I admire President Trump so much is because he's always bolstering peace. You know, when you hear him talk about the Ukrainian Russian war, he's always saying people are dying on both sides and he doesn't want to see death on both sides. He just wants the war to end. He constantly speaks about, you know, the architecture and the art that's being destroyed in Ukraine. You know, and it's not even his country. He could have just sit by and just watch his country demolish each other and just watch hundreds of thousands of people, probably millions of people dead, and he doesn't care. But he cares enough to where he can find the time to try to bolster peace between these countries. And you definitely cannot hate on that. And again, so without further ado, guys, oil up. Oh no, I ain't not doing no Diddy nothing. I'm not oiling up, guys. That's a negatory. I don't come on here for you guys like that. I come on here so we can experience the news together. I don't come here to oil up. You know, is he speaking English? I'm speaking perfect English. I'm so sorry. Shirai, Ugly Ninja. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Pedro. Pedro, appreciate you. Thank you. Of course, I love the hate. That's not what we're all about, guys. We're all about discussion here. We don't do that. We don't spread any kind of hate in this room. That's not what this is about. If that's what you want to do, you're in the wrong live, man. Okay? We just here to inform the people of what's going on around the world so we can be more educated about stuff instead of just watching all the little fake news that gives you the news as they see fit. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I've said that in the beginning of the live. I did a prayer before. I am a Christian. So yes, definitely. I'm 100% Christian. Absolutely. I respect every other religion, but I do believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Yeah, man, of course. This is a necklace I've had. I've had this since I was 18 years old, and I'm in my 40s now. And I rarely ever take it off, and it's been with me for a long time. All right, so the close up on it, 14 karat gold. It's white and 14 karat on a Cuban link. Yeah, so I walk with Jesus every day, all day. You know what I mean? All right, guys. So with that said, listen, before we join the video, guys, if you guys can like, subscribe, and share the video, I'd greatly appreciate that. I know the video quality is not the best. I'm in school right now. This is not necessarily my main focus, but I do like to keep myself informed about the politics of what's going on in my country and around the world. And I always encourage people to do the same. So we're just gonna listen to what the president has to say, and from there, you guys are welcome to have some, thought-provoking discussions in the chat. And with that said, let's go. Let's do it.
There's nobody like him. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much, my friend.
Guys, as you guys can see,
To return to this beautiful kingdom.
I'm always taking donation. The channel is young. I know I'm in school right now, but I'm definitely gonna get when school is finished, I'm definitely gonna get the right camera equipment to get the lives a little bit more active where we all can really interact, where I can do it on my computer. But for now, while I watch these, I'm still doing schoolwork. So donations are welcome, guys. Appreciate it. Anything helps getting new equipment so we can do the live better. We can have better discussions. When the channel grows a little bigger, we can have guests where we can talk and interact with everyone. So that's my goal for my channel, guys. Appreciate all of you guys. Enjoy.
And be welcomed back with such extraordinary generosity and warmth. I've never forgotten the exceptional hospitality showed to us by King Solomon, who's just, we talk about a great man. That is a great man. That is a great man, a great family. Now, that visit took place exactly 8 years ago. The graciousness of the royal family and the Saudi people is really unsurpassed, no matter where you go. Let me also thank the countless ministers, government officials, business leaders, and distinguished guests for that warm welcome. Very warm, and I know so many of you like to call out all of your names, but there's a lot of problems. We'll be here for a long time. We don't want that, so don't be upset. With this historic state visit, we celebrate more than 80 years of close partnership between the United States and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Good
Ever
job.
since President Franklin Roosevelt met with King Solomon's father, King Abdul Aziz, aboard the USS Quincy in 1945, the U.S.-Saudi relationship has been a bedrock of security and prosperity. Today we reaffirm this important bond, and we take the next steps to make our relationship closer, stronger, and more powerful than ever before. It is more powerful than ever before. And by the way, it will remain that way. We don't go in and out like other people. It will remain that way.
Let him know, big dog.
I've come this afternoon to talk about the bright future of the Middle East, but first let me begin by sharing the abundance of good news from a place called America. In less than 4 months, our new administration has achieved more than most other administrations accomplish in 4 years or even 8 years. We've actually done, for the most part, more. The day I took office, we inherited, thank you. Thank you. The day I took office, we inherited a colossal invasion on our southern border, an invasion like you'd never want to see here. Nobody should ever want to see it. But within weeks, we slashed illegal border crossings to an all-time low, down 99.999%. That's good, even for this great gentleman standing right in front of me. That's a good number. We had hundreds of thousands of people that came in at the same time last year, and last month we had, in this massive border, 3 people that got in. That's quite a difference, and we have no choice but to get a lot of the people that came in because they were not the best people. They were, in many cases, very bad people. We're getting them out. We're getting them out very fast. We're bringing them back to where they came from. We have no choice. After years of military recruiting shortfalls, enlistments in the U.S. Armed Forces are now the highest in 30 years because there is such an incredible spirit in the United States of America. We have tremendous spirit again. Just about a year ago, there was a big story, front page on every paper all over the world, that nobody wanted to enlist in our military, meaning we were way under enlisted. And just last week it came out that we had the strongest enlistment. They say 30 years, but probably it's maybe ever. They don't go back that far. It's the best, and that includes police officers, firemen, and everything else. Is a great spirit in the United States right now. A brand new poll from Rasmussen just showed that the number of Americans who believe the nation is on the right track, they have a right track, wrong track, is now the highest in over 20 years. And it hasn't been anything like this because for many years it was the wrong track. And I can tell you for the last 4 years it was definitely the wrong track, but it's the highest it's been in many, many years. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. That was very popular, other than perhaps with Mexico. And most importantly for the people in this room, the days of economic misery under the last administration are rapidly giving way to the greatest economy in the history of the world. We are rocking. The United States is the hottest country, with the exception of your country, I have to say, right? I'm not going to take that on. No, Mohammed, I'm not going to take that on. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing if I made that full statement? But I will not do it. You're hotter. At least as long as I'm up here, you're hot. But groceries, gasoline, energy, and all other prices are down with no inflation. We have no inflation, and in a few short weeks, we've created 464,000 brand new jobs. Think of that. It's almost 500,000 jobs created just in a matter of weeks. We just reached a historic trade agreement with the United Kingdom, and over the weekend we reached a breakthrough agreement with China. Both outstanding deals. China's agreed. We have to get it down. We have to get the details down. Scott, you're going to work on that very hard, but China's agreed to open up to the United States for trade and everything else. But they have to do it, so we'll see what happens. But we had a very, very good meeting with both of those countries. We are cutting 10 old regulations for every new regulation. We're getting rid of all of the red tape that is so many, frankly, countries as they get older, they develop a lot of red tape, and we're getting rid of it. We're getting rid of it at record levels. And I'm pleased to report that the United States Congress is on the verge of passing the largest tax cut and regulation cut in American history. We think we're in good shape to get that. And if we get that, that will be like a rocket ship for our country. In the first quarter of the year, the investment in America was up an astounding 22%. More than $10 trillion of new investments have been announced or are coming just since the election on November 5th. So think of that. In a very short period of time, we have over $10 trillion. And it could be much higher than that. Not everybody comes to the White House to have a news conference that they're going to be opening up in America, but they're all coming in numbers that we've never seen before. If you take a look at other presidencies, they wouldn't do $1 trillion sometime in years. We did this in essentially 2 months because you have to say we got into office and they gave me about a month to clean up and fix up the Oval Office, and after that we started working, and the money is pouring in, the jobs are pouring in, the companies are pouring into our country like we've never seen before. There's never been anything like it, and we let other people tariff us into losing a lot of money and a lot of jobs, and now we're tariffing them, and it's at a level that nobody's seen. It's a level that is making us a very much different country and a very different Republican Party. We won a tremendous victory in November. We won all 7 swing states, the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. The Electoral College, we won by 312 to 226. Remember they said, well, you could get to 270. We got to 312. That's a big difference. And very importantly, we won counties throughout the United States, 2,660 to 451. That's why when you look at a map, they're all red. So the whole country is red. Red stands for Republican. From the moment on and from...
Get the likes up, guys. If you're enjoying the stream, please get the likes up. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. If you guys can subscribe, that's also appreciated. Thank you.
$100 billion. NVIDIA is investing, and I see my friend is here, Jensen. That's very good, wherever you may be. Thank you very much, because he's putting in $500 billion. TSMC is investing. Where is Jensen, by the way? Where is he? He's standing here. Where is he? I just saw that. Thank you very much, Jensen. I mean, Tim Cook isn't here, but you are. What a job you've done. He said he's got 99% of the chip market. I don't know. That's not easy to beat. But what a job you've done. Thank you. We are proud to have you in our country. You know that. Thank you for the investment. TSMC is investing $200 billion, and with this trip, we're adding over $1 trillion more in terms of investment into our country and buying our products. And nobody makes military equipment like us. They're the best military equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. Best submarines, by the way. Most lethal weapon in the world. In addition to purchases of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever. This week there are multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon, Oracle, AMD, they're all here, Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many, many more. So I want to congratulate everybody, so many great business executives, many of you, most of you I know, and they're coming in, you know, about a month ago, they weren't that happy when they saw me, and now they're saying, sir, you're doing a great job, thank you very much. It's amazing what a rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion of investment and jobs, and great companies are coming in. Never seen anything like it. There's no better place to make a future or make a fortune, do anything, frankly, than what we have in the United States of America under a certain president, Donald J. Trump. I have the right attitude. I have the same attitude that the people in the front row, second row, third row have. As you get back, perhaps they start to wane a little bit in terms of their view. But they understand, and we're doing what a lot of smart people would do. And we're not necessarily being politically correct. You saw what we did yesterday with healthcare. We've cut our healthcare by 50 to 90%. You're going to see drugs and pharmaceuticals come down at numbers that nobody has ever seen. And drugs, pharmaceuticals, we think will be dropping. And it will be a redistribution of costs with other nations, which really took advantage of a very nice group of people that ran our country. But not only is this a time of incredible excitement in the United States, it's also an exhilarating period right here in the Arabian Peninsula. Beautiful place, by the way, beautiful place. Exactly 8 years ago this month, I stood in this very room and looked forward to a future in which the nations of this region would drive the forces of terrorism and extremism, drive them right out of existence, and take your place among the proudest, most prosperous, most successful nations anywhere in the world as leaders of a modern and rising Middle East. So exciting, so exciting. Mohammed, you sleep at night? How do you sleep? Just thinking. What a job. He tosses and turns like some of us. Tosses and turns all night. How do I make it even better all night? It's the ones that don't toss and turn. They're the ones that will never take you to the promised land, won't they? But you have done some job. But critics doubted that it was possible what you've done. But over the past 8 years, Saudi Arabia has proved the critics totally wrong. The transformation that has occurred even by these incredible business leaders. I mean, you're the biggest leaders in business anywhere in the world standing right before us. But the transformation that has occurred under the leadership of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed has been truly extraordinary. Such a thing has, I don't think, ever happened before. I've never seen anything at that scale happen before. And I guess, you know, maybe you could say the United States is doing pretty well too, you know, but I don't think too many people have seen that happen before. Majestic skyscrapers, the towers that I see, the difference between now and 8 years ago, and 8 years ago was very impressive, but the towers that I see rising, some of the exhibits that were shown by Mohammed, what I've seen there is just an amazing...
Welcome, guys. If you guys enjoy the live, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to add a donation today, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys.
It's an amazing process, an amazing genius of so many people, architecture, but I have a feeling that I know where many of those ideas came from. Happens to be sitting right in this room right before me, but the towers and all of the different, I've seen a lot of different towers. I didn't think there's any version of a tower that I haven't seen in one form or another. Well, I just passed 4 exhibits. I have never seen anything like any of them. So it's going to be very exciting. And they sit among the ancient wonders of a growing and exciting city. It's really amazing. Riyadh is becoming not just a seat of government, but a major business, cultural, and high-tech capital of the entire world. The World Cup is here. Johnny, just stand up, Johnny. Johnny, thank you, Johnny.
And that's how you lead. That's how you go to a country and lead.
Great job, Johnny, great job. But the World Cup and the World Expo will soon be coming here. It's like the
This man is a diplomat.
the United States. It's going to be really exciting next year. The engines of Formula One racing now roar through the streets of Jeddah in a historic milestone. Other industries recently surpassed oil. Think of it, all of your other industries now have surpassed oil. I don't know if a lot of people will understand what that means. It's so big to make up a majority of the Saudi economy for the very first time ever. So think of that. Other industries are now bigger even than oil, which is always going to be a big monster. It's a big one, but that's a great tribute to you and economic development properly used. In other cities throughout the peninsula, places like Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, Doha, Muscat, the transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
Get your ass up, stand up, and applaud this man. Of course. Applaud this man.
I want to know this great transformation has not come from Western intervention.
And speeches like these, they don't ever put on the news and highlight. But this other stupid speeches, they'll excerpt, they cut from the things he says. They don't put these speeches up. Other countries hear it, but not the United States, because they don't want us to see him as a humanitarian and a peace seeker.
Those who are flying people in beautiful planes, giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spend trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly. And it's something only you could do. You achieved a modern miracle, the Arabian way. That's a good way.
I think when I come on the internet.
Today, the Gulf nations have shown this entire region a path towards safe and orderly societies with improving quality of life, flourishing economic growth, expanding personal freedoms, and increasing responsibilities on the world stage. After so many decades of conflict, finally it is within our grasp to reach the future that generations before us could only dream about a land of peace, safety, harmony, opportunity, innovation, and achievement right here in the Middle East. So beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing that's happening. I guess, the people that are here can't even really appreciate it because you see it happening, and it's when you come to a place that you haven't seen in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years that it's even more incredible. When I left office just over 4 years ago, that future seemed almost impossible, what you've done. Together we had obliterated the killers of ISIS. We wiped them out, terminated its founder and leader, al-Baghdadi. We had healed the divide in the Gulf Cooperation Council. It's a very big deal. And united the nations of the region to stand against the enemies of all civilization. We'd imposed unprecedented sanctions on Iran and starved the regime of resources to fund terror. They were unable to fund anything because they had no money left. They had no money. But the new administration came in and let them have a lot of money, and you saw what happened. It was not money well spent. And with the historic Abraham Accords that we're so proud of, all the momentum was aimed at peace. And it aimed very successfully. It's been an amazing thing, the Abraham Accords. And it's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but we'll soon be joining the Abraham Accords. I think it'll be a tremendous tribute to your country, and it will be something that's really going to be very important for the future of the Middle East. I took a risk in doing them, and they've been an absolute bonanza for the countries that have joined. The Biden administration did nothing for 4 years. We would have had it filled out. But it will be a special day in the Middle East with the whole world watching when Saudi Arabia joins us, and you'll be greatly honoring me, and you'll be greatly honoring all of those people that have fought so hard for the Middle East. And I really think it's going to be something special, but you'll do it in your own time, and that's what I want, and that's what you want, and that's the way it's going to be. When I left office, the only thing still standing between this region and its unbelievable potential was a small group of rogue actors and violent thugs seeking constantly to drag the Middle East backward and into havoc, mayhem, and indeed into war. Unfortunately, instead of confronting these destructive forces, the last U.S. administration chose to enrich them and empower them and give them billions and billions of dollars. The Biden administration, the worst administration in the history of our country, by the way, spurned our most trusted and long-standing Gulf partners, and I can say partners worldwide. One of our great, great partners, no matter who we look to, and we have great partners in the world, but we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest representative. And if I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much. Too much. I like you too much. Great guy. They lifted sanctions on Iran in exchange for getting nothing, and sent the regime tens of billions of dollars to fund terror and death all over the world. And they laughed at him, they laughed at our leader, and they're still laughing at our leader. They thought him a fool, and they made nothing but trouble ever since, including the funding of October 7th, one of the worst days ever in the history of the Middle East, horrible day. Biden removed the Houthis from the list of foreign terrorist organizations, even while missiles and drones were being launched right here in the beautiful city of Riyadh, and launched at ships that they happened to be sailing in the wrong location. The Biden administration's extreme weakness and gross incompetence derailed progress toward peace, destabilized the region, and put at risk everything we have worked so hard to build together. And when you think of the great achievements that you've made, to do it in light of a pretty hostile administration, an administration that was not a believer, it makes your achievements even greater. Makes them even greater, you know that. But in a few short months since taking office, we have achieved the swift return of American strength at home and abroad. Now working with the vast majority of people in this region who seek stability and calm, our task is to unify against the few agents of chaos and terror that are left and that are holding hostage the dreams of millions and millions of great people. The biggest and most destructive of these forces is the regime in Iran, which has caused unthinkable suffering in Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Iraq, Yemen, and beyond. There could be no sharper contrast with the path you have pursued on the Arabian Peninsula than the disaster unfolding right across in the Gulf of Iran. Think of that. They wanted to name it that. I said, they're not going to let them do that. Do you mind if I stop that? They stopped it. We're not going to let that happen. While you have been constructing the world's tallest skyscrapers in Jeddah and Dubai, Tehran's 1979 landmarks are collapsing into rubble and dust. They had it going for a little while under a much different system, but those buildings are largely falling apart, falling down while you're building some of the world's biggest and most incredible infrastructure projects, buildings, all sorts of things you're building that nobody's ever even seen before. Iran's decades of neglect and mismanagement have left the country plagued by rolling blackouts lasting for hours a day, all the time you hear about it. While your skill has turned dry deserts into fertile farmland, Iran's leaders have managed to turn green farmland into dry deserts as their corrupt water mafia, it's called it the water mafia, causes droughts and empty riverbeds. They get rich. They don't let the people have any of it. And then, of course, there's the key difference at the root of it all. While the Arab states are focused on becoming pillars of regional stability and world commerce, Iran's leaders are focused on stealing their people's wealth to fund terror and bloodshed abroad. Most tragic of all, they have dragged down an entire region with them. Countless lives were lost in the Iranian effort to maintain a crumbling regime in Syria. Look at what happened with Syria. In Lebanon, their Hezbollah proxies have pillaged the hopes of a nation whose capital, Beirut, was once called the Paris of the Middle East. Can you imagine all of this misery and so much more was entirely avoidable? Absolutely avoidable, and Mohammed knew that. He knew that. Smart people knew that. If only the Iranian regime had focused on building their nation up instead of tearing the region down. Yet I'm here today not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. I don't like permanent enemies, but sometimes you need enemies to do the job, and you have to do it right. Enemies get you motivated. In fact, some of the closest friends of the United States of America are nations we fought wars against in generations past, and now they're our friends and our allies. I want to make a deal with Iran. If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very happy if we're going to make your region and the world a safer place. But if Iran's leadership rejects this olive branch and continues to attack their neighbors, then we will have no choice but to inflict massive maximum pressure, drive Iranian oil exports to zero like I did before. You know that? They were a virtually bankrupt country because of what I did. They had no money for terror, they had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, and take all action required to stop the regime from ever having a nuclear weapon. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. But with that said, Iran can have a much brighter future. We'll never allow America and its allies to be threatened with terrorism or nuclear attack. The choice is theirs to make. We really want them to be a successful country. We want them to be a wonderful, safe, great country. But they cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is an offer that will not last forever. The time is right now for them to choose. Right now, we don't have a lot of time to wait. Things are happening at a very fast pace. They're happening right here. They're happening at a very fast pace. So they have to make their move right now. One way or the other, make your move. As I said in my inaugural address, my greatest hope is to be a peacemaker and to be a unifier. I don't like war. We have the greatest military, by the way, in the history of the world. You know, I rebuilt our military in my first 4 years and rebuilt it into the most powerful military there is. And you saw that when I knocked out ISIS in 3 weeks. People said it would take 4 years, 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. Just days ago, my administration successfully brokered a historic ceasefire to stop the escalating violence between India and Pakistan. And I used trade to a large extent to do it. I said, fellas, come on, let's make a deal. Let's do some trading. Let's not trade nuclear missiles. Let's trade the things that you make so beautifully. And they both have very powerful leaders, very strong leaders, good leaders, smart leaders. And it all stopped. Hopefully it'll remain that way, but it all stopped. I was very proud of Marco Rubio, all of the people that worked so hard. Marco, stand up. What a great job you did on that. Thank you, J.D. Vance, Marco. The whole group worked with you, but it was a great job. And I think they're actually getting along. Maybe we can even get them together a little bit, Marco, where they go out and have a nice dinner together. Wouldn't that be nice? But we've come a long way, and it could be, you know, millions of people could have died from that conflict that started off small and was getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the day. I've also been working relentlessly to end the terrible bloodshed between Russia and Ukraine, and very importantly, talks are being held in Turkey later this week, probably on Thursday, and they could produce some pretty good results. Our people are going to be going there. Marco's going to be going there. Others are going to be going, and we'll see if we can get it done. 5,000 people, young people for the most part, soldiers from Ukraine, soldiers from Russia. They're not from here and they're not from the United States, but they're souls. They're souls. I think usually, mostly they're young, beautiful souls that left their parents waving goodbye, left their brothers and sisters. Goodbye, I'll see you soon. And they got blown to pieces. 5,000 on average a week are dying. And people are dying elsewhere in the region, but tremendous numbers like we haven't seen since World War II are dying. And I want to stop it. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. Would have never happened if I were president. That's a war that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened if I were president, because Iran had no money to pay Hamas or anybody else. They had no money. They were not looking to take care of them. They had to take care of themselves. They had no money. They stopped their oil effectively with the embargoes and sanctions. But let me take this opportunity to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the constructive role that you played in facilitating the Ukraine talks. And it really is, you've been amazing. You've made everything available to us. Thank you very much. Thank you. And if we get that settled, we'll pay a special tribute to what you've done. You really did lay a great groundwork. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The West should not be dragging itself backward into another endless war in Europe, yet another endless war. We should stop the killing and work together to address the biggest long-term threats as one unbeatable team. Think of us as an unbeatable team. I mean, when you look at what you've done here, that's much more difficult than stopping stupidity. Think of it. It's stupidity. What you've done is much more difficult, and you did it better than anybody else has ever done it. As President of the United States, my preference will always be for peace and partnership whenever those outcomes can be achieved. Always, it's always going to be that way. Only a fool would think otherwise. In recent years, far too many American presidents have been afflicted with the notion that it's our job to look into the souls of foreign leaders and use U.S. policy to dispense justice for their sins. They loved using our very powerful military, and now it's really the most powerful it's ever been. We're getting a budget approved, $1 trillion, highest budget we've ever had in history for military, $1 trillion. And getting the greatest missiles, the greatest weapons. And you know, I hate to do it, but you have to do it because we believe in peace through strength. You have to have the strength, otherwise bad things could happen. But hopefully we'll never have to use any of those weapons. Seems to be an awfully big waste of money. You're never going to use them, but hopefully we'll never have to use them because the destructive power of some of those weapons are like nobody's seen before. I believe it is God's job to sit in judgment, my job to defend America, and to promote the fundamental interest of stability, prosperity, and peace. That's what I really want to do. I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States or to help defend our allies. And there will be no mercy for any foe who tries to do us or them harm. We will have no mercy. They understand that. That's why I've been pretty lucky. A lot of people think, you know, he's looking to fight. He's looking to fight, and things get settled. It's an amazing thing when they really think you mean it. But we do. We have the greatest military, the strongest military, stronger than any. Nobody's even close. We have the best weapons in the world. But we don't want to use them. If you threaten America or our partners, however, then you'll be faced with overwhelming strength and devastating force. We have things that you don't even know about, you don't hear about, and if you did, you say, wow. In recent weeks, following repeated attacks on American ships and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea, the United States military launched more than 1,100 strikes on the Houthis in Yemen. As a result, the Houthis agreed to stop. They said, we don't want this anymore. It's the first time you've heard that from them, too. They're tough. They're fighters. Just days ago, we were asked to cease targeting commercial. They were not going to be targeting commercial ships in any way, shape, or form, anything American. And they were very happy that we stopped. But we had 52 days of thunder and lightning like they've never seen before. This was a swift, ferocious, decisive, and extremely successful use of military force. Not that we wanted to do it, but they were shooting down ships. They were shooting at you. They were shooting at Saudi Arabia. We don't want them shooting at Saudi Arabia if that's okay. So we hit them hard. We got what we came for, and then we got out. Since January 20th, the U.S. military has terminated 83 terrorist leaders operating across Iraq, Syria, and Somalia, including ISIS's number 2 global leader. You read about that just recently. With the help of Pakistan, we apprehended the ISIS terrorists responsible for the attack on 13 American service members at Abbey Gate, that horrible, horrible disaster during this Afghanistan withdrawal. You know, that's another thing that we don't even think about so much anymore. 13 died, but 42 were horribly wounded. But hundreds of people died overall, because I count the people on the other side. Hundreds of people just grossly incompetent. It's probably why Putin decided to go into Ukraine, something he never would have done if I were president. But we wouldn't have had the problems of October 7th if I were president. We wouldn't have had Ukraine, Russia if I were president. We wouldn't have had Abbey Gate, because there wouldn't have been any reason we were getting out, but we were getting out with dignity and with strength and power. But The way they got out was not good. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And we've been working tirelessly to bring back all hostages held by Hamas. We brought back a lot already, but we're bringing back more. This weekend we successfully negotiated the release of the last American hostage, Edan Alexander. Just came out a few hours ago, and we continue to work to get that war ended as quickly as possible. It's a horrible thing that's taking place. All civilized people must condemn the October 7th atrocities against Israel, which would never have happened again if you had probably a different president, but definitely if you had me as president. The people of Gaza deserve a much better future, but that will or can not occur as long as their leaders choose to kidnap, torture, and target innocent men, women, and children for political ends. The way those people are treated in Gaza, there's not a place in the world where people are treated so badly. It's horrible. After years of suffering, two of the nations most ravaged by terror are finally beginning to end their long nightmares under the new generation of leaders. In Lebanon, where a friend of mine has just become the ambassador. He's going to be great. I said, that could be a very dangerous job. He said, I was born there. I'm Lebanese. I love that country. I said, but it's very dangerous. This is a friend of mine from New York. He said, but it's very dangerous. Are you sure you want to do it? I never thought of him as being a warrior, but he is a warrior. He loves his country. He said, if I'm injured or die, I'm dying for a country that I love. He grew up there. It's horrible what's happened in Lebanon, but you have a great ambassador, I can tell you that. In Lebanon, which has been endlessly victimized by Hezbollah and their sponsor, Iran, a new president and prime minister brought the first real chance in decades for a more productive partnership with the United States, and we're going to work with their new ambassador and everybody else, Marco, and we're going to see if we can really help them out and let them get over that very high grid that they're going to have to get over. My administration stands ready to help Lebanon create a future of economic development and peace with its neighbors. They have tremendous people in Lebanon, doctors, lawyers, great professional people. I hear it so many times. Likewise in Syria, which has seen so much misery and death, there is a new government that will hopefully succeed in stabilizing the country and keeping peace. That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing, many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade. And I'm very pleased to announce that Secretary Marco Rubio will be meeting with the new Syrian foreign minister in Turkey later this week, and very importantly, after discussing the situation in Syria with the Crown Prince, your Crown Prince, and also with President Erdogan of Turkey, who called me the other day and asked for a very similar thing. Among others, and friends of mine, people that I have a lot of respect for in the Middle East, I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important function, nevertheless, at the time. But now it's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. We're taking them all off, and And they're going to have, I think they're going to have faith in the people and the spirit and everything else that I'm hearing about. So I say, good luck, Syria. Show us something very special like they've done, frankly, in Saudi Arabia. Okay? They're going to show something special. Very good people. Everywhere we can, my administration is pursuing peaceful engagement, offering a strong and steady hand of friendship to all that will take it in good faith. Together, we have made unprecedented strides and tremendous progress, and we're still just at the dawn of the bright new day that awaits for the people of the Middle East, the great, great people of the Middle East. If the responsible nations of this region seize this moment, put aside your differences and focus on the interests that unite you, then all of humanity will soon be amazed at what they will see right here in this geographic center of the world. It really is. It's like a center of the world and the spiritual heart of its greatest faiths. For the first time in 1,000 years, the world will look at this region not as a place of turmoil and strife and war and death, but as a land of opportunity and hope, just like you've done right here, a cultural and commercial crossroads of the planet. Security and stability will lift millions into lives of safety and success, and the nations of this region will be free to realize your highest destinies, honor your proud histories, harness amazing new opportunities, and bring incredible glory to Almighty God. People will come from all over the globe to be inspired by the cities you build, the businesses you create, the technologies you invent, and the beauty, talent, and potential you unleash right in the hearts of your citizens. Each of you will be able to take tremendous pride in the legacy you will leave to your children, because you will have given them the ultimate blessings of prosperity and peace. So important. In the United States, we've launched the golden age of America. It's the golden age. We see it. We see it with all the money, trillions and trillions of dollars pouring in, hundreds of thousands of jobs coming in with it. And with the help of the people of the Middle East, people in this room, partners throughout the region, the golden age of the Middle East can proceed right alongside of us. We will work together. We will be together. We will succeed together. We will win together. And we will always be friends. Thank you. So, Mohammed, I want to thank you again very much for having me. And as a representative of what I think is the greatest nation in the world, we are with you all the way, and you have a tremendous future. Thank you very much. And please pay my respects to your father. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And there you have it, President Trump delivering remarks at the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum, speaking for about an hour and a half, talking about the important relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States as they continue to strengthen the relationship between the two countries. He earlier signed a number of agreements with Saudi Arabia, kicking off a 4-day Middle East trip with a focus on deal-making with Saudi Arabia. Also, as we were just hearing live there, concerns about Iran's nuclear program, vowing that Iran will never obtain nuclear power. Talking about a number of other issues and specifically calling out Secretary of State.
This is GovX.com. Join the community of patriots and pros. You've earned it. GovX. Savings for those who serve.
Devin Archer. Congratulations, Devin.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement, powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, this will put everything in the public eye.
Is anybody going to look? What about you to look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden. Okay?
Next, sir, we have an executive order for your attention. We've taken action against a number of law firms that have participated either in the weaponization of government, the weaponization of the legal system for political ends, or otherwise engaged in illegal or inappropriate activities. The law firm of Jenner and Block is one of these law firms. This is a law firm that, as you know, employed Andrew Weissman after he came off of the Mueller investigation. It's a law firm that's engaged in invidious racially and sexually discriminatory practices. It's also a law firm that has participated in the weaponization of the legal system against American principles and values. And we believe that the measures in this executive order will help correct that.
And Andrew Weissman is the main culprit.
He's certainly
With respect to this firm,
he is one of a number of reasons that we believe this executive order is for.
he's a bad guy. Okay.
Next, sir, we have an executive order for your attention relating actually to government payments. Historically, checks issued by the Treasury are, I believe, 14 times more likely to become the subject of fraud than electronic transfer payments. This is an executive order that's going to push the Treasury Department to modernize its payment system to ensure that where possible they're using electronic methods of payment as opposed to paper checks in order to reduce waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, which is obviously an endeavor that we've been pursuing in numerous aspects of government under your leadership.
It's basically modernization of equipment and methods, and it's something that really I think he's going to be a great Secretary of the Treasury, Warren Scott, and so we're doing this, and we have other modernization programs going on. We could let somebody else, whoever's next, whoever that may be, do it, but it's something that should have been done 25, 30 years ago. Okay.
Along similar lines, sir, this is an executive order. We're calling it Protecting America's Bank Account. The basic idea here is that instead of having lots of different departments and agencies and offices issuing payment often without justification, often without any provided rationale, we're going to be central in payment processes where possible in the Department of the Treasury and ensuring that measures are taken in Treasury against waste, fraud, and abuse to ensure that money that's leaving the public treasury is as protected as it possibly can be.
All right. Okay. Many of these things should have taken place decades ago or longer.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. We believe that this executive order is the farthest reaching executive action taken in the history of the Republic to secure our elections. among numerous other aspects of this executive order. This is going to cut down on the legal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This executive order instructs the EAC to cut federal funding to states that don't take reasonable steps to secure their election. This calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously prosecute election crimes, particularly in states that we don't believe are in compliance with federal law around election integrity. I could go on and on for a while, sir, but compliance with national election day rules, cracking down and investigating and prosecuting foreign interference in our elections, revoking President Biden's Executive Order 14019, which essentially weaponized government to corrupt and pollute our election process. There's a lot in here, but we believe that these are very important steps that we need to be taking as an administration in your direction to ensure that our elections are as secure as they possibly can be.
You will understand that. It's election fraud. You heard the term. Will end it, hopefully. At least this will go a long way toward ending it. There are other steps that we will be taking in the coming weeks. And we think we'll be able to end up getting fair elections. Perhaps some people think I shouldn't be complaining because we won in a landslide. But we got to straighten out our election. This country is so sick because of the election, the fake elections and the bad elections. And we're going to straighten it out one way or the other. And it's an honor to sign this one. To sign all of them, but to sign this one is a great honor. So we're going to go around the room a little bit quickly, and we're going to introduce these very outstanding people. They've had, in all cases, outstanding careers. They're very incredible people that are going along as rapidly as the system can go along. We're ahead of, I guess, anybody else thus far. So I want to thank John Thune. He's done a really good job in the whole Senate. We're being delayed as much as possible by Democrats, but that's standard. It gets to be just standard. But the process is moving along very quickly. So, Sergio, just say hello, and then we'll introduce them.
Absolutely. Sergio Gura, Director of Presidential Personnel. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know every one of you every step this way. As the President said, we're at a record pace. We have more nominees today from the Senate than at any previous point, over 70. That's a record in 2 months. We're proud of that, and we're determined to ensure the world has America First patriots in all of our posts.
Charles Kushner. I'm going to France and Monaco, and proud to serve under the greatest president of our country. Very proud to serve.
Thank you.
James Blair, honored to work here in the White House as Deputy Chief of Staff. And Mr. President, I think that all of these successful people that want to go serve the United States under your leadership is a testament to your vision and leadership.
I'm David Perdue. I'm going to the People's Republic of China. It's my honor to represent President Trump, people of America, represent our interests and values in China.
I'm Leah Campos. I'm going to represent the President in the Dominican Republic. Mr. President, thank you for the honor to serve you. Thank you.
Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor. Look forward to working with every one of you on behalf of the President, his leadership, and the American people.
John Arrigo. I am going to the Republic of Portugal, and I'm very excited to do so and serve on what I consider one of my closest friends and one of the best presidents of this country. Thank you.
Andrew Burley, nominated for the Ambassador of Heaven. It truly is an honor, President, to be working with this church.
Thank you. Tom Barrett, nominee to the Republic of Turkey. Delighted and honored to be with you, Mr. President, in that close country, which is one of the most ancient civilizations. Search for your peace, prosperity, and security.
Good place.
Mr. President,
Good leader, too.
and Mr. President, thank you. It's an honor. I'm sure you know that. But I am going to Canada. And I look forward to serving in Canada and your agenda.
You do a great job. Thanks, Pete.
Paul Johnson, sir. Thank you for the nomination to represent you in the United States to the United Mexican States. And I'm really encouraged by some of the conversations you've had with President Sheinbaum recently, and to the increase in support that we've seen out of her government along our border on the important issues. So thank you, sir.
They have stepped it up a lot, Mexico and Canada, so see how it works, right?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Matt Whitaker from Des Moines, Iowa. I'm proud to, as soon as I'm confirmed, go represent you at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Okay, thank you, man.
George Glass, on my way to Japan. Previous administration, I served for you in Portugal. It is a great honor to be able to do this the second time. Thank you
very
for the
much.
opportunity.
Thank you, Judge.
President Trump, my name is Ken Howery. I'm your nominee to be ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark. A very close partner and ally. I served for you last time, Kingdom of Sweden. I want to thank you for the faith you've placed in me as your nominee.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
President Trump, thank you for the honor of a lifetime. My name is Stacy Feinberg, and hopefully I'll have the honor of serving in Luxembourg. And I think this is the greatest presidency and the greatest time in history, and it's all because of you.
Thank you very much.
Nicole McGraw, nominated to serve in Croatia. It's such an honor to be here with you today and to serve you and the American people.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
President Trump, thank you very much for your nomination to the Republic of Chile. And let me tell you, Border Patrol agents are so thankful for everything that you've done for them. But it's
That
a
man
great,
knows more about the border than anybody. Thank you.
it's a great honor. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Brian Burke. If I'm confirmed, I'll be representing you at the Holy See. Catholics are I'm proud of your work. Your team is doing an excellent job. So thank you. Very honored to serve.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you again for the honor, the greatest privilege. My name is Summer Sparkus. I will serve this great man at the Republic of Malta. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe Popolo from Dallas, Texas. Very proud to serve you at the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the very first country to recognize the United States 250 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I'm confirmed, I will be representing you in the state of Israel. It will be an extraordinary honor, and you've done more for Israel than any president in any time of its history, and we are grateful. And I'm hoping I'll get to be there by Passover.
Thank you, Mike. And Mike is an outstanding guy. They all are. Mike, I think he's going to do wonders for Israel. He actually probably gets along with both sides, and that'll be interesting to see. But the world is watching you, Mike, so good luck. Good luck. You're going to do well. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for this great honor to serve the Republic of Italy and San Marino. I'm so looking forward to going over there and working with that great ally, and for the pleasure to serve you. Your staff has been great working with us and have done a great job, and we really appreciate them. Thank you, sir, for pushing this along.
Have a good time. A really good time.
I'm Warren Stevens from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I have the honor to represent the President and the United States in Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and to be chosen to go to such an important ally of ours is unnecessary enough. Looking forward to it, but thank you for the honor.
You're going to do fantastically. These are tremendously successful people, and you two guys, and then you add on Mike. I think they have a little more money than Mike, but he's got some other advantages. He's got some other, like upstairs, he's got some big advantages.
Yeah, he does.
It's very exciting. It's really exciting to have all of you. Would you have any questions, Media, for the people that you just saw? So outstanding, and I thought it would be nice to bring them before you. And so if you have any questions, please.
Talks in Saudi Arabia, it sounds like you made some progress on the Black Sea ceasefire. Could you update us on that? What happens now?
So we made a lot of progress on two fronts. Both sections that we call them sections, but they're much more than that. Russia, Ukraine, and also the Middle East. And we'll see what happens. We're in deep discussions with Russia and Ukraine. And I would say it's going well, but it's a situation we should have never had to even think about. Should have never happened. And in the Middle East, that's been going on for a lot of years. Centuries and centuries, it just keeps going. and we are making a lot of progress, so that's all I can report, but some very, very big talks are going, and detailed talks are going on right now on both fronts.
Mr. President, you said that your national security advisor learned a lesson after our
Wait a minute, excuse me, I didn't think you, but
Mr. President, the ceasefire agreement that was voted today allows for third-party countries to help implement the agreement. What does that look like, and who's going to be involved?
the ceasefire agreement?
Yes, the maritime ceasefire agreement between Russia and Ukraine.
Well, they're gonna get together, look, they agreed to something and it got broken, there's tremendous animosity, there's a lot of hatred, as you can probably tell. And it allows for people to get together, mediate it, arbitrate it, and see if we can get it stopped, and I think it will, then it'll get stopped.
What else do you look to work with to help implement and monitor that
We
ceasefire?
have other countries involved, and they're involved very strongly in the process, and that'll be resolved. That's actually, as bad as it is, that's the least of the problems. So we'll get that resolved, and we are being aided by other countries too. Yes, please, Brian.
Tomorrow, the subcommittee on DOGE is going to review funding for NPR and PBS. Now, every Republican president has always promised to take away this money that's going to these two public news outlets. If they're successful, I know Senator Kennedy has backed it, Martin Taylor Greene, Congress has backed it. Would you be interested in defunding and taking away taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS?
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased for the whole group. I mean, a whole group of them. And frankly, there's plenty. Look at all the media you have right now. There's plenty of coverage. I was from a different age, and they spend more money than any other network of its type ever conceived. So the kind of money that's being wasted, and it's a very biased view. You know that better than anybody. And I'd be honored to see it end. We're well covered. Look at all the people that we have here today. We're well covered, and we don't need it. And it's a waste of money, especially, I don't even know what DOGE's recommendation is. I assume their recommendation is to close them up.
Well, after they hear all the testimony, I think they're going to make a decision relatively sooner than later.
Yeah.
But we'll see what that turns out.
I can imagine that they would be, because they have found so much waste, fraud, and abuse. Hundreds of billions of dollars, and just waste, fraud, abuse. You heard yesterday some of the new things that were 22 billion just in environment. Billion. You know, if you had 22 million, Warren, it would be nice, but 22 billion put into environmental accounts. One was 2 billion into one account, Stacey Abrams, where they had $100 in the account. And just before I came in, they put $2 billion. And you guys are looking, so you think 2 million or maybe 200,000, no, $2 billion were put in the account. What do you think of that, Mike? Do you think that's a straight deal? 2 billion?
Just like me to check, Mr. President.
It's a horrible thing. We have so many of those things, so they've done an incredible job. And the country wants to hear it. I think DOGE is actually very popular because of what's happening. They're hearing about all of these scams and for big, big money, tremendous amount. When you add it up, just hundreds of billions of dollars being wasted, and much of it's fraud. You know, we talk about waste, and it is waste and abuse, but a lot of it's fraud. Brian?
I just want to follow up on that. If Planned Parenthood is defunded, would you look into the harvesting of baby organs that they've done throughout the years and maybe go after some criminal prosecution on that?
Well, I think you're talking about a subject that is a heated subject, and we'll look into it. We'll look into everything, but that's certainly a subject that's been debated for a long time, and we will look into it. Yeah.
Mr. President, some senators have expressed hope that the White House will support a rescission package to codify some of the DOGE cuts into law. Where does the White House stand on that? Are you making progress?
Which package?
A rescission package to codify some of the DOGE cuts into law.
You know what? That'll be great. I think we're going to do that. I think they're going to do it. I think we're also going to be codifying a lot of the executive orders that we've done, which have been very popular. And we're looking at one, I will tell you right now, that I think perhaps will be controversial, but not with the people, and that's sanctuary cities. We're going to end sanctuary cities for some of these jurisdictions that aren't cooperating with law enforcement. They're guarding criminals. They're taking the rights away from the citizens of this state and this city. And we're going to be ending sanctuary cities if we find it necessary to do in certain major areas. And we may just end the entire thing altogether because it's just a way of protecting criminals. And nobody else is benefited by that. And for some reason, Democrats want to keep and they want to shield criminals from being sent back to their countries or being sent to prison. And in the meantime, the crime rate has gone through the roof. Under Biden, it was through the roof. It's starting to come down, but we're taking a lot of people out of here. So we may be presenting it very shortly with a executive order ending sanctuary cities.
Mr. President, are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials use after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use. And I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, Mr. President, you asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. And I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. Pinprick attacks, months between them, our destroyers being fired upon dozens of times. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team, took out the head missileer, knocked out missiles, knocked out headquarters, knocked out communication sites. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. We have a national security team that was coordinating these efforts. As Director Ratcliffe testified today, his first day on the job, he was introduced to this app on his government systems at the CIA and at the State Department and otherwise. So, look, this journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes and this kind of nonsense rather than the freedom that you're enabling. And a key part of our sovereignty is open sea lanes and knocking the crap out of terrorists, which is exactly what your team and Pete Hegseth, a good friend and fellow veteran, is leading the charge on, and it's not.
We had a very, very successful, we had a very, very successful evening, and we've had numerous successful evenings and days in that area. The Houthis are absolutely on the run. The worst of them have been killed. This should have been done a long time ago by Biden, but Biden was an incompetent president. He couldn't do anything. He didn't know where it was going. He had no clue. This guy had no clue. This should have been done a long time ago. As they shoot missiles at ships, randomly shoot missiles at ships, and they make their own missiles. You know, this is not an incompetent group of people. They make their own missiles. They get the missiles also from Iran. It's an offshoot of Iran, another offshoot. You have Hamas, you have Hezbollah, you have the Houthis. You got a lot of stuff going on with Iran. And we sent a letter to Iran. You're going to have to be speaking to us one way or the other pretty soon because we can't let this happen. But that's an app that a lot of people use, and somebody got on. I mean, happened to know the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. It does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this: that they've made up more stories, and they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly. He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way. It's going to go on. And I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
Do you worry that national security was put at risk, Mr. President?
Do I plan to ban who?
The use of signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it. And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot. It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully. But sometimes somebody can get onto those things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the situation room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly. But the best is to be there. In fact, oftentimes I've been in fact, just last week I was in the situation room with something very important, and we had a couple of people hooked up by line, and I said, cancel the line. Sorry, fellas, what you do is we'll tell you all about the meeting, because I know people do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or anything else. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we look at everything, and, they've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. We are bringing in business, and we have another one announced tomorrow, a big one, very big. Like, in the history of our country, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think probably a lot of people are saying they started by saying it was the greatest first month that a president has ever had, and I think that's true. And now they say it's the best second month, and they had to find something. And certainly we'll look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different. But I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael. He's a good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct an investigation.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask the military about that, because, maybe you wouldn't want that. I don't know. I will say this, that from what I heard, the man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of, he found it very boring, and he left early. He got off the line very early. So I can't speak to it other than that. So he's made up a lot of stories, and I think he's basically bad for the country. But it's a failing venture, a very failing venture. They're very upset. And a thing like this is publicity for them, but I don't think we should allow people that are very good, like that man sitting right at the end of the table who's done a great job. We shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Mr. President,
Yeah, go ahead.
are you saying you're okay with the continued use of signal by administration officials?
No, that's not what I said. I said we'll look into it. But everybody else seems to be using it. It seems to be the #1 used device or app, whatever you want to call it. And we will certainly look. If it was up to me, everybody would be sitting in a room together. The room would have solid lead walls and a lead ceiling and a lead floor. But, life doesn't always let you do that. In the meantime, the attack itself that we were talking about and discussing has been an unbelievable success.
But you will conduct an investigation, is what you're saying.
We'll look into it, sure. I would look into it, sure. I want to look into anything like that. I would ask them. It's not really an FBI thing. It's really something having to do with security. Security, like, will somebody be able to break in? Are people able to break into conversations? And if that's true, we're going to have to find some other form of device. And I think that's something that we may have to do. Some people like Signal very much. Other people probably don't. But we'll look into it. I think Michael asked you to immediately study that and find out. If people are able to break into a system, now in this case it wasn't that this attack was going on and nobody found out anything. And again, the person that was on, as I understand it, he left very early because he didn't find it very exciting. But I think it's something you should look into.
We have our technical experts looking at it. We have our
as you've said, and we've repeatedly said, the attack was phenomenal and it's ongoing. But the media wants to talk about everything else except for the hostages you're getting out of the Middle East, Iran on its back foot, sea lanes getting reopened, peace in Europe. As we just saw today with a Black Sea ceasefire, we were just on with Steve Witkoff, myself, our team in Saudi Arabia. They want to talk about all this other stuff except for your amazing successes and the successes of your team.
They move very quickly, and there are other devices that are very good, but they are very, very cumbersome, and you're not able to use them from a practical standpoint. So all we can do is find out the best we have with modern technology. They'll probably get better over the years. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, on Black Sea, so the Kremlin has said that there were several conditions that would need to be met for this agreement to happen. This includes sanction relief for banks and some companies. Did the U.S. agree to all of those conditions that they laid out?
They will be looking at them, and we're thinking about all of them right now, about 5 or 6 conditions. We're looking at all of them.
Looking into how journalists got added to that signal chat, is it possible that there could be a firing of even a lower mid-level official once that person is identified? About the signal chat that we've been discussing?
We pretty much looked into it. It's pretty simple, to be honest. It's not, it's just something that can happen. It can happen, you can even prepare for it. It can happen. Sometimes people are hooked in and you don't know they're hooked in. They're hooked into your line and they don't even mean bad by it. But it's not a perfect technology. There is no perfect technology. The really good ones are very cumbersome, very hard to access. And I think we always want to use the best technology. This was the best technology for the moment. But again, it wasn't classified, so they probably viewed it as being something that wasn't that important. And obviously, with the attack being, I mean, I don't know if it's been read out to you yet, but that attack was a tremendous success for the U.S., a tremendous success. Go ahead, please.
Do you think that Michael made a mistake and doesn't need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
That's correct. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
A lot of times you find out defects by exactly things like that, but I don't think it's something we're looking forward to using again. We may be forced to use it. You may be in a situation where you need speed as opposed to gross safety, and you may be forced to use it, but generally speaking, I think we probably won't be using it very much.
On that chain, the Secretary of Defense Phoenix and J.D. Vance, Vice President, said that Europeans were free-loading. Do you agree with that assessment?
Do you really want me to answer? Yeah, I think they've been freeloading. The European Union's been absolutely terrible to us on trade, terrible. And as you know, NATO, I got them to pay hundreds of billions of dollars. They were way behind. And if you look if you look at Ukraine, so we're in for $350 billion because of Biden. Should it never happen, this war? Should it? All these dead people should not be dead. All these broken cities that are demolished down to the ground, those gorgeous towers, the most beautiful in the world, the most beautiful spires in the world. The spires in Ukraine were said to be the most beautiful of all. Just about every one of them is lying on its side in a million pieces. It's so sad to see what's happened to a heritage. Now, I think that when they say the European Union and you could say NATO also. Look, NATO, and I don't blame NATO for this. I don't blame Europe for this. I blame Biden for the fact that he didn't make them equalize. And to this day, I said to him, you got to catch up. You got to equalize. But why are they in for $100 billion and we're in for possibly $350 billion? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And you could say more important for them because we have an ocean in between. So it's one of those things. You'll be seeing Liberation Day. I call it Liberation Day in America. You're going to be seeing it on April 2nd. Didn't want to do it on April 1st for the obvious reason. April 2nd. But you'll be seeing tariffs, and I think I've been very fair. I haven't said, but I think I've been very fair to countries that have really abused us economically for many, many decades.
information was not classified.
Another question, please, go ahead.
Just following up on your comments on the economy and report that consumer confidence fell for the fourth straight month. What is your message to Americans who are concerned
Well,
about
I noticed that for the first time in like 50 years, right track, wrong track, we're on the right track. And I think people see that. And if you look at prices, prices are way down. You know, when I first came here, the first time I met with you people officially, they were screaming at me about eggs. I said, I've been here for a week and I'm being yelled at about eggs. Egg prices have come down 45–50% in the last week and a half. And our Secretary of Agriculture has done a great job, as you know, Brooke. She's done a fantastic job, and others working with her have done a great job. But we brought eggs down at a level that nobody thought we could get at. I inherited that situation, and I inherited a grocery situation. The groceries went way up, an old-fashioned word, but it's a very descriptive word. Groceries have gone through the roof. And I used to campaign on it. I used to say we're going to get groceries down, and we have got it down. I watched a certain newscast over the weekend, and a congressman, Democrat congressman, said, well, Trump's done a lot, I agree. He's been great on the border, he's been great on the military, but you know, he hasn't brought prices down. That's false. Gasoline's way down. Eggs are way down. Groceries are down very substantially, but down. Almost everything's down. Now, I'd like to see interest rates come down a little bit. And you're going to see billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars coming into our country very soon in the form of tariffs. Because we were abused by presidents. And frankly, in all fairness, it wasn't their expertise, but they had no idea what they were doing. Oh, yeah, sure. It'll create a lot of money and more jobs. But if you look, so in the last, these gentlemen would know about it, and ladies, because some of the ladies are great businessmen in this room that are becoming ambassadors. Great, really great, top of the line. When you look at the number of companies that have said, like we're close to, I would say close to $4 trillion. We never had numbers like that. The number one chip maker in the world from Taiwan coming in with $200 billion. We have Apple. Look at Apple. $500 billion. $500 billion. They're going to build plants all over the United States. They were all being built in China. You have many, many companies, and maybe above all, you have the car companies coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have Honda is opening up one of the biggest plants in the world in Indiana, and many car companies are coming in. We have AI. We're leading China by a lot in AI, and we're going to keep it that way because we've made it very good for them, and we're going to protect them once a year. We'll protect them through taxes, through incentives, and also through tariffs. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
When you work on cars as much as I do, you learn what matters most. For me, that's trust. What sets Advance apart is the people. They don't just hand me parts. They help me get back on the road. They've always got the right parts at the right price, right when I need them. Whether you just need your battery tested or you've got years of experience. Advance Auto Parts is right around the corner and ready to help.
The White House, so we have President Trump about to sign some executive orders at inside the Oval Office. And here we go. Let's listen in out live now.
We have some important signings today and some important statements to make about what we're doing in the world of medicine. Bobby and the group, and maybe Will do something which will be very enlightening, and I think people are going to like it. But it was a little gift that's being presented, so Will, you want to take over?
Yes, sir. So earlier today, the House of Representatives transmitted this over for you. This is a record of the electoral college votes in the 2024 election. It shows your total of 312 votes. And the letter opener at the bottom of this frame display is actually one of the letter openers that was used to open the electoral votes during the counting.
That's great. How many votes did the other side get?
Less than you, sir, significant.
By how much?
I don't want to get this wrong, it was 226.
But the news said it was going to be the other way around.
The news said it was going to be a lot.
No, they said that it was going to be a lot closer than that. It wasn't close. So 312 to 226, that's pretty good. Okay, that's good. Thank you. I thank them for me this morning.
Yes, sir. We'll tell the speaker. We have a number of executive orders for your attention today, sir. The first relates to gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is a type of medical research where pathogens are adulterated viruses or adulterated to make them more potent or to change the way that they function. Many people believe that gain-of-function research was one of the key causes of the COVID pandemic that struck us in the last decade. What this executive order does, first of all, it provides powerful new tools to enforce the ban on federal funding for gain-of-function research abroad. It also strengthens other oversight mechanisms related to that issue and creates an overarching strategy to ensure that biomedical research in general is being conducted safely and in a way that ultimately protects human health more.
It's a big deal. Could have been that we wouldn't have had the problem we had.
A lot of people say that. So.
If we had this done earlier. Thank you. Okay, good.
Many actions that you've taken so far in this administration, sir, are related to onshoring manufacturing and onshoring supply chains. One of the most important supply chain issues we currently face as a country is our pharmaceutical supply chain. This is an executive order intended to promote domestic manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. It streamlines the permitting processes that go into building domestic pharmaceutical manufacturing sites. It centers a lot of the environmental permitting process, which is quite significant within the EPA, and it takes other actions designed to ensure that we're bringing pharmaceutical jobs and pharmaceutical manufacturing back to the United States of America.
Okay, good. This is what it's all about, right? Very important. We're going to have a big announcement next week on some of this kite thing, but more related to costs, the cost of medicines and drugs. It's a big rip off, as you know, very badly. Big rip off compared to the rest of the world. Go ahead.
Next, we have a series of proclamations for your attention, sir. This is a proclamation declaring National Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health and that basket of issues has been a major priority for Secretary Kennedy since he got into office. It's been a major priority for your administration. This is just a proclamation declaring this month to be National Mental Health Awareness Month.
See, no oil pen. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need an oil pen, so that somebody that you have no idea who the person is, who's actually the president of our country, they look into that oil pen stuff. That's not right, what took place for 4 years. Very important. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Next, this is another proclamation declaring this week to be National Small Business Week. As you've said many times before, small business is actually big business. Small businesses are key drivers of the American economy. Your administration has taken quite dramatic steps to improve small business, to help small businesses. This is just a proclamation that recognizes those efforts and announces the National Small Business Week.
Good. Before I go further, I'd like to just, as you see behind me, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done a fantastic job. Director J. Bhattacharya, Nash Institute of Health, and a very special person. I interviewed him personally. I liked him immediately. I interviewed a lot of people. I liked him. Dr. Martin McCary, likewise, the FDA commissioner, who's really in there blood and heart, right? But we have some big things coming up, and Will, everybody knows. So I just wanted to thank all of you. Vince Yeller's already here someplace. Where's Vince? Vince is great. Come on up here, Vince. You should be up here. He's been with me for a long time. He's an expert on policy and speech writing too, along with Ross, right? So great. It's good to have you on. Bob, do you have anything to say besides some very important documents having to do with health?
Mr. President, a gain of function is an historic day, and a gain of function research funding by the federal government and also controls by private corporations on gain of function studies.
At the Memorial Day sale, get an adjustable mattress set for $499.99. Get matched at Mattress Pro, sleep at night.
The future of trading is here on Robinhood.
This was a kind of study that was engaged in by the United States military and intelligence agencies beginning in 1947. By 1969, the CIA said that they had reached nuclear equivalency, that they could kill the entire U.S. population for 29 cents a person. That year, President Nixon went for Dietrich and announced a unilateral end to this kind of research, what they call dual-use research that was for vaccination. He then persuaded over 180 countries to sign the Bioweapons Charter in 1973. That basically ended gain-of-function research around the globe until 2002. Until 2001, after the anthrax attacks, we passed the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act had a provision, a little-known provision in it, that said that although the Bioweapons Charter is still in effect, and the Geneva Convention is still in effect, U.S. federal officials who violate it cannot be prosecuted. And that relaunched bioweapons arms race, and that was driven by gain-of-function research. In 2014, 3 of those bugs escaped from U.S. labs, and President Obama declared a moratorium on future use, and instead a lot of that research was moved offshore to the Wuhan lab. We have it launched bioweapons arms race all around the country, all around the world, so that China is engaged in it, developing all kinds of weapons using AI and CRISPR technologies that are really devastating. Russia is deeply engaged in it, Iran and many other countries. It's a kind of weapon that always has blowback. There's always bad news. And the justification for this kind of weaponry was, and these kind of research, was always that we have to do this to develop vaccines to counter a future pandemic. In all of the history of gain-of-function research, we can't point to a single good thing that's come from it. And today, I commend President Trump for his courage and his vision in ending U.S. bioweapons research. And Jay, I'd love you to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, Jay, yes.
This is a historic day. The conduct of this dangerous gain-of-function research, which aims at taking pathogens and making them more virulent, more transmissible in humans, many scientists believe is responsible for the COVID pandemic. The conduct of this research does not protect us against pandemics, as some people might say. It doesn't protect us against other nations. What it does is there's always a danger that in doing this research, it might leak out, just by accident even, and cause a pandemic. Any nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no threat to human populations. The vast majority of science can go on under this as normal. But the fraction of this research that has the risk of causing a pandemic, harming every single person on the face of the earth, we're going to put this proclamation, this executive order puts in place a framework to make sure that the public has a say, that if such a risk is being taken, that only scientists alone won't be able to decide that. And in fact, the public can say, no, don't take this risk. And I'm really, really proud to be here with President Trump, who signed this order, ending this research, for the first time putting in place a real right-field framework to make it go away forever.
So it can leak out, like from Wuhan, and other people think that. I think I said that right from day one. Leaked out, whether it was to the girlfriend or somebody else. scientist walked outside to have lunch with a girlfriend, or was together with a lot of people, but that's how it leaked out, in my opinion, and I've never changed that opinion. So it can leak out innocently, stupidly, incompetently, but innocently, and half destroy the world.
That's right. That's right. It's,
Mr. President, there are, I think, 3 leaks. Yes, all 3 of these, 4 labs are highest rated laboratories almost every week. There's no laboratory that does this right. There's no laboratory that's immune from leaks, and this is going to prevent those kind of inadvertent leaks from happening in the future and endangering humanity. The COVID outbreak cost 20 million lives and cost the world at least $25 trillion. And this executive order is a precaution against us being involved in that kind of research in the future.
Very honored to do this. Marty, what do you have to say?
It's unbelievable to think the entire nightmare of COVID was likely preventable. And you had good instincts early on, Mr. President, in suggesting it came from the Wuhan lab. That is now the leading theory among scientists. It was 5 miles from the hospital where it first broke out. So it's crazy to think that this entire nightmare was probably the result of some scientists messing with Mother Nature in a laboratory with technology exported from the United States that is inserting a pure and cleavage site. So I hope this does some good in the world, Mr. President. Thank you for doing it.
Anybody have any questions on that? Yes.
Can you speak to the concerns people are having regarding your administration cutting $1 billion in mental health programs in
Look,
schools?
waste, fraud, and abuse of which there's tremendous amount. People on that should be on, illegal immigrants, on people that came into the country illegally. Many of them, and we're looking for that, but for the population that's supposed to be there, it's perfecto. And they want us to do that. They don't want to have the waste, the fraud, and the fraud is big, by the way, or the abuse. Question? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually have a question for Secretary Kennedy, if you don't mind. You mentioned the anthrax attacks of 2001. At Zero Hedge, we're working on a piece revisiting that, and I've heard you speak and the questions that I've heard you raise in the past.
Well, we're not at this moment going back. I mean, the FBI has already done an extensive investigation. They said that the anthrax was Ames anthrax that came from a U.S. lab. Their accusation was that it was released by a scientist called Bruce Ivins, who subsequently committed suicide. There are many people who believe that Bruce Ivins was falsely accused and that it was somebody else in the lab. It's not something that we're currently investigating, but it's something that the FBI, the fact that it came from a U.S. lab is something the FBI determined.
Yeah.
Several MAHA aligned bills being proposed throughout the country, and I wanted to know what your thought was on that and the progress that Secretary Kennedy is making first. And second, when you, no, I'm sorry, let's ask.
You've had a wave. I think we have MAHA legislation now in 36 states. In the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been to Arizona, to Utah, to West Virginia, to Indiana, to sign SNAP waivers to get candy and soda off the SNAP, to change the school lunch program so that we're feeding our kids food instead of food-like substances that are made in laboratories, and to do a number of other initiatives that are being passed by, that are being driven by local MAHA movement inspired by the president, and that are being signed into law by various governors. We're very, very grateful for that. We've invited Brooke Rollins and myself have invited the governors of all the states to apply for SNAP waivers so we make sure that the supplemental nutrition assistance program is actually paying for nutrition and not sodas. 10% is now going to soda. There's no nutrition in a soda.
And at the same time, you have like 19 attorneys general suing you and the Trump administration. Like, what do you make of that?
Who are they? they know what they're doing. They're just hurting our country. These are very dishonest people. They've lost their way. They've lost their confidence. They have no confidence. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't even know what they're suing for. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, Liz.
Sure, President, on the pharmaceutical side, you made the determination on kind of what those tariff rates may look like and the timing of those.
I have, I'll announce it over the next 2 weeks. Okay. Well, Liz, do you have anything to say about this one?
We have had this crazy system in the United States where American pharma manufacturers in the United States are put through the ringer with inspections. And the foreign sites get off easy with scheduled visits while we have surprise visits in the United States. Well, a scheduled visit is no inspection. So we are at the FDA delivering on this promise in the President's executive order and switching from announced to surprise inspections overseas. We're also not going to have our inspectors hanging out for 3 or 4 weeks. They're going to get in and out, and we're going to do more inspections with the same resources as a result.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I think it's very, very important that Americans have a drug supply, pharmaceutical supply that they can count on. We saw during the COVID pandemic that the reliance on overseas production of pharmaceuticals led to the shortages of essential medicines, and that's happened over and over again. Making America produce the drugs that it's long been able to produce is a huge priority. This executive order the President just signed is going to make that possible.
Vince, you're a big policy person. You've been so great for me this morning. What do you think?
Well, sir, you've always said it's vitally important that we have national self-sufficiency when it comes to critical pharmaceuticals. We learned that in 2020. It's been a key campaign promise. We've seen shortages in the past of critical cancer drugs, people on chemotherapy. We have to produce them here at home, and this is an important contribution to doing that.
Thank you. Any questions of them? Okay.
Just 2 more, sir. We have a slate of 39 Senate-confirmed senior officials of your administration. This slate includes a significant number of new U.S. attorneys. Those will be the top prosecutors in judicial districts around the country, will prosecute crime and help advance your agenda.
Okay, it's a lot of people, and they're very good people. I hope. Who knows? I hope so. Okay, thank you.
And then lastly, sir, we have another proclamation. This week is National Hurricane Preparedness Week. This is an issue that's particularly important, obviously, to your home state of Florida. This is just a proclamation recognizing National Hurricane Preparedness Week 2025.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank you. So we're going to be having some conferences next week. I'll also be going to Saudi Arabia and other places, going to UAE and Qatar. And some of you will be going with us. It's an interesting time, but I think we're going to have another conference next week, which will be very important, having to do with the world of the medical. And I think it'll be very productive. These are really very important that we signed today. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much.
Is this the episode with the breakup? Well, we can't agree on the house. Y'all need Realtor.com. With over 500,000 new listings every month, you can find one today. Yeah, better put a key ring on it. Realtor.com.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good to see you bright and early on this Monday morning. As you know, this week marks the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, And President Trump's first 100 days have undoubtedly been the most monumental and historic of any administration in American history. President Trump has already delivered on hundreds of promises he made to the American people, and we will continue to talk about all of them throughout this week. Tomorrow, I will host a press briefing at this same time, bright and early again, to highlight the Trump administration's economic accomplishments with our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. And tomorrow night, President Trump will travel to Michigan to discuss all that he has achieved on behalf of the American people. On Wednesday, the President will host an open press cabinet meeting where each cabinet member will discuss their success thus far and their plans for the future. Today, we kick off 100-day week with a focus on the President's historic effort to secure our southern border. Later this afternoon, President Trump will sign an executive order on law and order and another executive order on sanctuary cities. The first EO will strengthen and unleash America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. The second EO is centered around protecting American communities from criminal aliens, and it will direct the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security to publish a list of state and local jurisdictions that obstruct the enforcement of federal immigration laws. After these are signed, the President will have signed more than 140 executive orders already, rapidly approaching the total number signed by the Biden administration over the course of 4 years in office. Speaking of Joe Biden, it was his awful open border policies that recklessly allowed more than 10 million illegal aliens to invade the United States over the past 4 years. Innocent Americans like Lincoln Riley, Jocelyn Nungaran, Rachel Morin, and so many others were viciously murdered at the hands of these illegal aliens as a result of Biden's dereliction of duty. That's why one of President Trump's central campaign promises was to secure the border and end this invasion. In just under 100 days, 99 now to be exact, the President has overwhelmingly delivered on that promise. America's borders are now secure because of President Trump. He has restored the rule of law, enforced our immigration laws, and defended America's sovereignty. The President immediately declared a national emergency on the southern border, deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion, and ended reckless catch-and-release policies. The results have been nothing short of extraordinary. Between President Trump's inauguration and April 1 of this month, only 9 illegal aliens were released into the United States, a staggering 99.99% decrease from the more than 184,000 illegal aliens who were released into the country under Biden during the same period last year. The number of unaccompanied illegal alien children arriving at the border has also hit a record low. Total attempted illegal crossings at the southwest border hit a record low in February, only to fall to another new record low again last month in March. Just listen to these incredible numbers. In March 2024, under Joe Biden, Border Patrol encountered approximately 140,000 illegal aliens at the southwest border. 1 year later, in March 2025, under President Trump, Border Patrol encountered just over 7,000 illegal aliens at the southwest border. That's another 95% decrease from the prior year. The first piece of legislation President Trump signed into law was the Lincoln Riley Act, which requires illegal aliens arrested or charged with theft or violence to be detained. President Trump also reestablished the successful Remain in Mexico policy from his first term to ensure that aliens who arrive at our southern border and claim asylum are returned to Mexico to await their hearings instead of being allowed into our country while they wait. The President has also restarted construction of the signature advanced border wall. More than 85 miles of new border barrier are already in various stages of construction and planning. And Border Patrol, in collaboration with the Department of Defense and the great state of Texas, have deployed 75 additional miles of temporary barriers across the southern border. The Trump administration, as you know, has also ended the disastrous CBP-1 Act, which Joe Biden exploited to facilitate the migration of nearly 1 million illegal aliens into the country. The Department of Homeland Security has relaunched this as the CBP Home Act to provide illegal aliens in the U.S. a straightforward way to declare their intent to voluntarily depart. For years, Joe Biden's weakness in open border policies allowed vicious cartels to functionally control, through a campaign of terror, rape, and brutal force, nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border. President Trump has put a stop to this in record time. He designated these heinous cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and invoke the Alien Enemies Act to immediately apprehend, detain, and remove these massive threats who have flooded our country with deadly drugs, violent criminals, and vicious gangs. The Trump administration is working 24/7 to successfully arrest and deport these illegal criminals and foreign terrorists from our communities. We are in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history. Over this past weekend, it was announced that through Operation Tidal Wave, a joint effort between ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement agencies, nearly 800 illegal aliens were arrested during the first 4 days alone. Among those arrested were a Colombian murderer, alleged MS-13 and 18th Street gang members, and a Russian with a red notice for manslaughter. And on the other side of the country, in the early Sunday morning hours, DOJ and DHS together launched a joint raid of an illegal alien underground nightclub used by Tren de Aragua in Colorado Springs, Colorado. DHS took more than 100 illegal aliens into custody, and many drugs and weapons were also seized. Operation Tidal Wave is a preview of what is to come around this country. Large-scale operations that employ our state and local enforcement partners to get criminal, illegal aliens off our streets. As always, President Trump and our entire administration are grateful for the courageous law enforcement officers who are putting their lives on the line every single day to protect their fellow Americans and to keep our country safe. After 4 years of being vilified and hamstrung by the Biden administration, heroic ICE and CBP officers finally have a president who has their backs and is allowing them to do the jobs they signed up to do. There's no person who can attest to that more than our incredible border czar here at the White House, Tom Homan, who has dedicated his professional career to protecting our country and enforcing the law. I will let Tom deliver some short remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions today. Thanks for being here, Tom.
Thank you. Just a few things. Look, I started in Born Control in 1984. I've been at this for over 40 years. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president ever worked for took border security seriously, because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, what's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border. They understood national security was important. Joe Biden is the first president in the history of this nation who came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. That's just a fact. We handed the Biden administration, after President Trump's first administration, we handed the Biden administration the most secure border of my lifetime, and he unsecured it on purpose. Now President Trump and this administration here, the success is unprecedented. We beat Trump's first administration on border success. Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation. And the numbers prove it. President Trump's policies are saving lives every day. There's been studies done that says 31% of women that make that journey through use of cartels and sexual assaulted. When President Trump has illegal immigration down 96%, when 96% less people are coming, how many women are being sexually assaulted by the cartels? How many children are dying making that journey? How many women and children are being sex trafficked into this nation? How many non-suspected terrorists aren't making it into this country? How many pounds of fentanyl isn't getting in this country to kill young Americans? How many women and children aren't sex trafficked? Under Joe Biden, sex trafficking is up 600%. We had 4,000 aliens dying making that journey. We had 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl that came across the border. President Trump's policy saves lives every day. Even the border wall saves lives. People want to hate on the border wall. Every place a border barrier has been built, illegal immigration has declined, illegal drug flows decline. But you know what no one talks about? The border wall saves lives. Because the most vulnerable, the women and children, can't get over that wall, which means they're going to a place where there's not a wall. And what's waiting on them? The men and women of the United States Border Patrol who will take care of those humanitarian needs to help pay you off the bat. We just went over the numbers. Let me talk about a few numbers that are important to me. Under the Biden administration, we averaged over 11,000 many days, over 12,000, some days 15,000 illegal entrants in the United States. 15,000. You know what the number was last 24 hours? 178. 15,000 to 178. Unprecedented success. On an average day in the Biden administration, no one got away. People we knew crossed the border because on video, drone trapper, essential trapper, crossed the border, weren't apprehended, weren't fingerprinted, weren't vetted. Average day under Joe Biden, more than 1,800 gotaways. Yesterday, 38. 38 too many, we'll get that to zero. But we went from 1,800 to 38. And finally, that was said earlier, under the first 100 days, was actually January 20th to April 1st. Last year, 184,000 illegal aliens were released into the United States. Under this administration, 9. 4 of them were material witnesses in a criminal investigation. We need them here to testify in a serious criminal trial. 4 was extreme medical condition. We couldn't return them because they were in such bad shape. And 1 was humanitarian issue. This is unprecedented success. The border is secure. President Trump saving lives. President Trump has proven no one does it better than President Trump. There is no equal, it's not even close. So God bless the men and women of Border Patrol. God bless the men and women of ICE who strap a gun to the hip every day, put on a Kevlar vest to not only secure our border and protect our national security, but the ICE agents in the interior, they're removing public safety threats and national security threats every day. While you're all sleeping at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, there are men and women out there enforcing the law to make this country safe again. And we're going to keep doing it. Full speed ahead. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Tom, and thanks for all your great efforts. We do want to open it up to questions. If you have border-related questions for Mr. Coleman, and I'm also happy to take any non-border-related questions. I'm happy to take border questions too, but Tom is here offering his time, so we encourage you to ask him questions. We'll start with our new media seat today. As always, Rogan O'Hanley, former Hollywood entertainment lawyer, I didn't know that, Rogan, who got fed up with the far-left ideologies of California and now posts conservative political commentary online for his more than 7 million followers across all major platforms. He joins us today from the great state of Florida. Why don't you kick us off today, Rogan?
Thank you, Caroline. In Trump's first 99 days, we've seen a coordinated assault on the rule of law by radical judges. We're thwarting his agenda with an unprecedented number of national injunctions. These judges are providing more due process to violent MS-13 and Trento Aragua, illegal aliens than they did for American citizens who peacefully protested on January 6th. As Stephen Miller has highlighted, it would be utterly ridiculous to have full trials and appeals for the more than 15 million illegal aliens that came across our border under Joe Biden. Many are now calling for Trump to circumvent these radical judges and consider suspending the writ of habeas corpus solely for these illegal aliens in accordance with the terms of Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution, which explicitly allows for such a measure when there is a rebellion or invasion. There's strong precedent for this action, being that it was exercised by 3 of our greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Democrats' favorite president of all time, FDR. All 3 of which are not only celebrated by historians, but are immortalized on our national currency with their faces on there. Furthermore, all 3 used it against American citizens, where in this instance we would be using it against illegal aliens. I think almost every reasonable American would agree that 15 million illegal aliens coming across our border under Joe Biden counts as an invasion, especially since many, as you highlighted, are now robbing, assaulting, raping, and killing American citizens. Historic assaults on our republic require reciprocal action from our government. Can you please let us know if and when the Trump administration is planning to suspend the writ of habeas corpus to circumvent these radical judges who are infringing on his Article 2 powers and to start shipping out illegals en masse?
I have not heard such discussions take place, but I can assure you that the President and the entire administration are certainly open to all legal and constitutional remedies to ensure we can continue with the promise of deporting illegal criminals from our nation's borders. And I also agree with the premise of your question, which doesn't happen in this room often, but I do agree with yours. It is absurd that the previous administration was allowed to allow 15 million that we know about illegal aliens into this country with very little pushback from our judicial branch. But this president is trying to simply enforce our nation's immigration laws and is facing roadblock after roadblock. So we're complying with court orders, but as Tom Homan has said every day, we're going to continue to forge ahead with this mass deportation campaign, and the president is open to all remedies to do that. Thanks for being here today, Rogan.
If I can also answer your question, as far as the judges, look, we just arrested a judge, Pam Bondi, for ICE enforcement rules. I said from day one, you don't have to support ICE's operations. You can support sanctuary cities if that's what you desire to do. Sanctuary cities can stand aside and watch ICE keep their communities safe. Because any public official, where your mayor, city councilman, or your governor, their number one responsibility is protection of the communities. And ICE has been clear, we're targeting public safety threats and national security threats. I can't believe there's any elected official, especially a judge, that doesn't believe we should be doing that, and they should be helping us. But I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want, protest all you want, but when you cross that line, I've said this 1,000 times, when you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harming, concealing an illegal alien device, you will be prosecuted. Judge or not. And as far as releasing so many people, you know the Biden administration released millions of people in the United States? Nobody ever talks about it. I'll talk about it. Why did they release people into the interior United States and put them into an ice bed? Why not put them in an empty ice bed, $127 a night, rather than a hotel at $500 a night? They did it on purpose. Because when you put them in an ice detention bed, they get a hearing in 35 days. Court records show 9 out of 10 people claim asylum, get order removal, they're gone. But if you release them and put them in a hotel room at $500 a night, their hearings can be 5, 7, 9 years here if they pull all appeals. And what are they hoping for that? That another Democratic administration is in power. They can warn amnesty in the 90s. This is about selling this country off for future political power. That's what it was. The law clearly says if you arrive on board without proper documentation, you shall be detained. Not maybe, not think about it, shall. And that's what President Trump's doing. Catch and release is over. That's what the law says, that's what we've done.
Question on Abrigo Garcia. The president recently said when it comes to facilitating his release, he's leaving that up to his lawyers. So just to be clear, have there been any negotiations between the U.S. and El Salvador over his release or facilitating of his release?
I will tell you what the president of El Salvador told all of you in the Oval Office. El Salvador does not intend to smuggle a designated foreign terrorist back into the United States. He is an El Salvadorian national. That is his home country. That is where he belongs. And the administration intends to comply with what President Bukele said of El Salvador. He does not intend to send that individual back.
So that's a no. There's been no talks.
What I have told you is that the president of El Salvador has made this quite clear. Kate.
Caroline, can you tell us more about the meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky over the weekend? Did that meeting change anything? Did Trump leave that meeting thinking differently about negotiations and next steps on this?
Look, the president talked about this after the meeting himself yesterday when he took questions from reporters on Air Force One. He thinks that he is increasingly frustrated with leaders of both countries. He wants to see a permanent ceasefire. I understand Vladimir Putin this morning offered a temporary ceasefire. The president has made it clear he wants to see a permanent ceasefire first to stop the killing, stop the bloodshed. And while he remains optimistic he can strike a deal, he's also being realistic as well. And both leaders need to come to the table to negotiate their way out of this. And I do think that the president meeting with President Zelensky shows that he is exuding a lot of effort and time into this because he wants to be a peacemaker president, which he was in his first term. He intends to do that again. And this is an incredibly difficult situation and conflict that President Trump inherited from President Biden, who allowed this war to start in the first place, but he's focused on solving this problem. Does anyone have border questions?
Sorry. Thank you, Caroline. If border crossings are at a record low, why should it still be considered an emergency?
It's because of what has happened in the last administration. We got to ensure that not one ounce of fentanyl comes across the border to kill Americans. The president has declared the cartels of Mexico a terrorist organization along with MS-13 TDA. They've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. There's an emergency till we shut it down. There's an emergency till the cartels are wiped off the face of this earth. President Trump's committed to saving every life. Now, I just mentioned Gotaways 38 yesterday. Who are the Gotaways? Where do they come from? We had over 2 million gotaways under Joe Biden's administration. Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Under the Biden administration, you pay a cartel this amount of money to cross the border. Cartel job ends at the border. To turn yourself in a green uniform. Get released in 24 hours. Get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. Get a free hotel room. Get 3 meals a day. Get free medical care. Get work authorization in 90 to 120 days, which is real estate game, right? Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. We arrested over 400 people on the terrorist watch list coming across the southern border in 4 years. How many of the 2 million came from countries sponsoring terror? You think it's 0? Then you're ignorant. This is the biggest national security failure this country's ever seen. This is a border emergency until we end it, end all of it. We're making good strides, but right now it's still an emergency until we shut it down.
This is a question for Mr. Gomez. Late last week, there were 3 U.S. citizen children who were removed with their mothers who were in the United States illegally. And there have been, a federal judge in Louisiana who was appointed by President Trump said that he was concerned that there was, quote, no meaningful process. Are you concerned that due process, at least for the U.S. citizen children, is being flouted and that the speed at which the enforcement is being done could lead to errors, as was the case in the Alfredo Garcia case? And then also, if you could give an update on the deportation numbers under this administration and whether you're pleased with them.
First of all, I don't accept the term error in Alfredo Garcia. There's an oversight. There's a withholding order. But things have changed. The facts showing the withholding order has changed. He is now a terrorist. There's no withholding order set aside. And the gain he was fearing from being removed out of Salvador no longer exists. So the facts showing that case is totally different. I'll let the lawyers litigate that. But as far as the U.S. 3 USC kids, I'd said from day one, that if you enter this country legally, it's a crime. If you remain in this country illegally and you ignore a judge's order about deporting, if you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children to be part of them. This is a parental decision. Parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together. So when a parent says, I want my 2-year-old baby to go with me, we made that happen. They weren't deported. We don't deport U.S. citizens. The parents made that decision, not the United States government. But I don't hear any questions about Laken Riley had a mother. She's never going to see her child again. Rachel Warren, she had 5 children. Those children are never going to see their mom again. This administration is doing the right thing. Every public safety threat we arrest from this country and move them, this country is much safer. So parents will make the decision what happens to their child. Having a U.S. citizen child does not make you immune from our laws. If that's the message we send the entire world, enter the country legally. It's a crime, don't worry about it. Get order removed by an immigration judge, don't worry about it. No one's looking for it. And have a U.S. citizen child and you're immune from our laws, you're never going to fix the border. People will keep putting themselves harm's way. More women would die. More children would die crossing this border. We got to secure the border by enforcing laws. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws under statute, enacted by Congress, and it's the right thing to do.
Can you give an update on the deportation numbers under this administration?
What are you asking for? Just provide the number.
The number of deportations that have occurred under this administration, whether you're pleased with that.
Last time I was counting 139,000 deportations. Am I happy with the number? Numbers are good. Especially if you look at the ICE numbers. So the ICE arrest removals are far beyond Biden. But I read the media, the deportations are behind the Biden administration. Well, why? Because they count border removal. We don't have 10.5 million people crossing the border. We don't have border removals. So Joe Biden could have deported 5% of his encounters, and the numbers will still be higher than us on the border removals, because we have a secure border. The most secure border in the history of this nation. Compare apples to apples, ICE arrests and deportations are far more than Joe Biden.
Mr. Holman, talking about the border wall, can you give us an update as far as how many miles are being built today? And is Mexico paying for it, as the president said they were going to?
Well, first of all, I'll answer that question because I already answered it in my opening remarks. To date, since January 1st, there's been more than 85 miles of new border wall construction in various stages of that construction and planning. The president has made it clear to Congress that we want to see more funding for not just border wall construction, but also to support our ICE agents and our Border Patrol agents who are on the ground facilitating with this mass deportation effort.
It's clear that Mexico is not going to Is that what you're saying?
That's what Trump said. Trump said Mexico won't pay for the wall. They have in a roundabout way, have they not? Putting 10,000 military on the northern southern border, taking the action they did with Mexico. They didn't have to do that. They're doing it. Putting military on the southern border. Have moved illegal immigration to record law. We're saving millions of dollars every day on detention, transportation, removal proceedings. We've more than made up for the cost of that wall because the action of Mexico. So is Mexico helping build that wall? Yeah, but we're saving so much money, millions of dollars a day, that we can't afford to build that wall. So actually, yes, they're helping to build the wall.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Mr. Holden, a question for you. The borders are. Can you give an estimate as to how many individuals are in the United States illegally? That's number one. And I'm sure you're very familiar with that number and estimate. And the second question is, I have a list that the White House put out of individuals, 100 ICE arrests since the beginning of the president's term, and the people are arrested for various very serious crimes. First-degree murder, convicted of rape, convicted of murder and aggravated burglary, sexual assault of a child. How many of the individuals that are in the United States illegally are people like this, really bad people?
Well, first of all, how many illegal aliens I think in the United States? At least 20 million. Here's what you call that? Now, we've been speaking about 12 million for 20 years. We know we got 10.5 that we know it came to the border. How many do we know? I talk about known gotaways at 2 million. How many unknown gotaways we have? Like between the Big Bend sector in Texas where there's no technology, how many thousand people did cross there? We don't know. We know now. But, you know, so I would venture over 20 million. But your question is, last count, last I looked, there was about 700,000 illegal aliens with criminal charges walking the streets of this country. 700,000. And that's what we're looking for now. That's what we're prioritizing. Them and national security threats.
We'll go to the back row.
Thanks, Caroline.
Yes.
For Mr. Holman, I'm Taylor with Spectrum News. We had a station about the Rochester, New York. It was reported you're visiting there tomorrow. Can you talk a bit about the purpose of your trip? I know the Trump administration is suing the city over its sanctuary city policies, how the executive order Caroline alluded to ties into it, and what your message is for communities and community leaders who say, we're able to establish our own rules here, we're worried about this input from the federal level. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, same thing I talked about earlier. I don't think any elected mayor, any elected governor should want public safety threats, those illegally in the United States, public safety threats walking through the community. And what happened in Rochester, HSI agent called for emergency assistance. Officers of Rochester PD responded to a call from emergency assistance from a federal law enforcement officer. They responded, then they got disciplined. I don't think anybody can come up with one instance where an ICE agent or border patrol agent didn't respond to an emergency call from assistance from any law enforcement agency. Cops need to help cops, especially in emergency situations. But they got disciplined. And I met those officers down in Nashville soon after that. I think it was a couple of days after it. And I told them I stayed with them. They did the right thing. Law enforcement responding to emergency assistance from law enforcement. So I'm going out there to support the men and women of law enforcement. The men and women who carry that bag of gun every day. They're working the streets at 2 a.m. over all streets. I'm going to give my support, and they just announced a lawsuit. And there's more to make. Sanctuary City is going to be suing this administration for flaunting immigration law. I mean, the law's clear, and they're violating it, and this administration will take action. I'm going to show my support, and men and women of law enforcement. I started as a cop. And the community, I'm showing support for them. Because the community wants your police officers to be officers too. The communities don't want public safety threats walking around their communities either. And that's what it's all about. That's why I'm going.
Mr. Holman, how close are you to housing migrants at U.S. DOD facilities like Fort Bliss in Texas?
Well, we're already housing at Guantanamo. Fort Bliss is being ramped up, so we're in the very near future. I don't have a timetable because things need to be done, construction needs to be done. We'll make sure the facilities are ready to accept. We'll make sure the facilities are able to care for the people. They're going to be maintained, so I don't know the timeline right now. It changes every day because of various issues, but we're working on it.
Are you intending to hold families there, including families with American citizen children?
They do not jails or open-air campus built for families, which means they have child psychologists, they have pediatricians, and why family residential centers? Because we want to make sure that child is with a parent. Unlike the last administration who stopped DNA testing, who many investigations of children being smuggled in the country with someone that wasn't related to them claiming to be a parent. So we want to make sure children are with parents. We want to make sure that's actually a family and that child ain't being trafficked. That's the main reason.
Regarding the executive order on sanctuary cities, is the administration planning to pursue any more investigations or prosecutions like was done against the judge in Wisconsin, against local officials?
Well, we have to defer you to the Department of Justice, obviously, for specific prosecutions or cases against individuals. But as I said in my remarks, the executive order the president will sign later this afternoon.
Hey guys, yeah, so I've been watching for a while right now. I need to get some studying done. So just before I end the live, I just want to take the time out, guys, to thank you guys for joining the live. I appreciate all the likes, the subscription. I appreciate your time, guys. I do this pretty much daily where, you know, anything that our government is doing, I try to bring it to a lot of people who don't have access to it. And it's something that I watch all the time anyways. My name is Mr. Black Mamba 305. I love the Lord Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I love the United States. I support our president in all the good things that he's trying to do for our country. I promote peace within the world. I know it's not something that is really something that is going to happen all the time, but when you have a president that's constantly fighting for peace, you can't, you know, go against that. I'm all into a president that's going to foster good relationship with other countries and promote other countries to foster good relationship with each other. And that's why the Republican Party had my vote. Again, I just want to thank you guys all for joining in the live. I appreciate every single one of you. I know the video quality, I'm just using a phone. But in the future, while, you know, I get better equipment, you know, now we have the donation page. If you guys do want to donate to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. But as time go by, the channel would grow and get better with your support. So before I even get your support, I want to thank every one of you guys for joining in. You guys could be anywhere else, and you guys chose to stay with me. Thank you, Travis. I appreciate you. Shout out to Travis, Joy, the user, Jet, everyone that comes in and join the live. I appreciate every single one of you. And I promise you this channel is going to be a lot bigger. So for all the people that are here in the grassroots times, I appreciate every single one of you. I want to do a lot more commentaries, a lot more videos, just trying to get the channel out there, get more eyes on it before I start doing like a, you know, like a vlog. And then hopefully, you know, the channel will take off so I can do a lot more and, you know, have more conversation, more interaction with you guys. But I appreciate every one of you guys. Thank you guys very much. If you guys can like, subscribe, and share the video, I would really appreciate that. I know this was a long stream. I'm always watching these things while I'm studying, on my downtime. I love to see what the country's doing. I love to see what's going on around the world. And again, guys, thank you guys very much, and I appreciate you guys. One love.